Hello everybody, and welcome to our group introduction video for Team Sea Turtle. Of course, this name has nothing to do with our actual topic, but it's a fun name. It is a class about sustainability, and nothing is cuter than a dang sea turtle. Alright, so the team members are myself, Thomas Kuda. Apologies if I butcher any pronunciations. Sheila Barr, Kayla Christie, and Adam Lindsay. Here's my intro video. I'll just let that play itself. Hello everybody, my name is Thomas Kuda. I currently live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so that's where I'll be doing all of my work from. Let's see, so the research topic that we picked interests me because it really wasn't anything that I'd thought about before, but I can see why it is such an important issue to discuss, research, and ultimately try to do our best to fix. Because it's something that is costing us a lot of time, money, costing the environment a lot of distress that we can alleviate if we work together. I look forward to being in this group with everyone, and I just want to say thank you, and I'm excited to get to work. So unfortunately, I was unable to reach any of the other group mates. It actually looks like there was supposed to be a fifth one of us. They are just completely removed. So I just moved forward with what I could do on my own. So the issue we are going to be researching and trying to figure out our wicked problem is traffic congestion in Phoenix. Of course, this seems like it probably is a bit of a boring issue up front. Traffic is just something people deal with, but from my initial research, it actually seems like it is genuinely important that we address and try to understand better why it happens and how badly it affects things. So yeah, from what I hear, I mean, obviously I've never driven there, but traffic in Phoenix, pretty bad. They're ranked 15th worst in the USA in traffic congestion, which is pretty heavy. I mean, Pittsburgh made the list down to 25, but that's not what we're here to talk about. It also amazed me that by 2026 it was going to cost $9.5 billion to the city itself just to keep roads up, and for the amount of extra fuel that's wasted sitting in traffic, it's an incredible amount of waste. I mean, that money could go to doing so much more for not even just Phoenix, Arizona, the country, to help people. There's so much more we could do with that than let it, sink away into some asphalt. So who does this affect? Obviously, commuters, probably the most heavily affected by this. They're the ones who are actually getting hit at the gas tank for sitting there for hours on end. Then the hours on end part, adds to your commute, keeps you away from your family, keeps people unhappy, unproductive, kind of feeds a bad cycle. Obviously, the more time you spend on the road, the tighter things are, the more crowded, the more likely there are going to be accidents. And then, of course, I know this, depends on where you land on this, but people will tend to use their personal vehicles a lot more than public transportation, especially when it's spread out as much as Phoenix is. City of Phoenix itself, which I just discussed, will eat a lot of cost to keep things up and running, which is going to hurt, pay, it's going to hurt benefits. It's going to take a lot of its toll on the city of Phoenix as time continues. And obviously, the environment, I mean, this is a sustainability class. So the course here focuses a lot on keeping things green, sustainable, obviously. But yeah, the environment suffers a lot. To keep construction up, they have to widen roads, they have to tear down, parks and take up space in the land for parking garages, and just all kinds of stuff that really, really negatively affects the environment and therefore reduces the amount of sustainability you can reasonably get. So trying to nail down the root cause of a wicked issue is tough. There's definitely a lot of contributing factors. I think one that was just really stuck out to me was the fact that Phoenix is so spread out makes it harder for people to take public transportation. And from what I understand, public transportation is subpar there to begin with. So people take personal vehicles, which adds a lot to congestion. I mean, if you stack 30 people on a bus, and I feel like that's a conservative estimate of how many you could fit on a bus, that's, around 30, maybe 25 less cars on the highway just for that one bus. Like that really helps to alleviate a lot of the congestion. But again, it's tough to convince people to sacrifice some creature comforts for trying to alleviate some larger issue. Obviously, construction is a huge thing that feeds in this. You have to have construction to have roads. There's just no two ways about it. You have to keep maintaining them, and every time you do, you are slowing down traffic. You are causing traffic jams. And construction is almost constantly going on, no matter where you live. So moving on to more of our team strategies. I'm hoping group mates will meet with me soon. But the overall strategy is pretty simple. Get together as soon as an assignment is given. Discuss our goals as a team. Divide up the work amongst us. Make sure that everyone is very clear on their understanding of what they are going to be assigned to do. Then we will split, go do our pieces of work, set certain flag posts along the work to check in with everybody else, make sure that we're all moving at a good pace, that everyone's on the same page, and all the work is being done to the specifications of the assignment. This should leave us with more than enough time to address any miscommunications and to make sure that we can, figure out if something got misunderstood or done wrong. We can have time to just make sure that everything that we put out is the best that we can. Online document sharing platform, Google Docs, it's my favorite thing ever. I keep everything in here. It's so easy to organize. It's really easy for people to collaborate. I think Google Docs is the best. Meeting regularly, that's tough, especially depending on how time zones are split up. But I think the best thing to do would be to make sure that everyone can meet at least one night a week, preferably 2, maybe even 3, probably a stretch. If we can only get one night, or if we can't get any, where everyone can fit together to take whoever the leader of the group is and meet in as large a group as possible, or if worse comes to worse, one-on-ones, just to make sure that there is one consistent flag of communication, which would be the leader, and then there's not going to be any second guessing, because everyone will be hearing the exact same information. There's no game of telephone here. It's just like reading a poster board. I think it would be the best way to make sure that we can complete assignments no matter how regularly we can meet. But like I said, the plan would be to meet a couple nights a week to make sure that everyone is feels supported and ready to take on the task at hand. Communicating, I'm trying to figure that out. So far I'm stuck using the groups tab to try to get a hold of people, but I think the best would be to probably do the bulk through email and text as needed to help clarify some questions real quick, or just to get a little probably quicker of a response in email. Make sure everyone's contributing equally. I think the stalwart way of doing that in a big group project is to make sure that you divide up labor evenly, and then basically make sure that the labor that you're giving them fits neatly into one visible category of the finished assignment, so that everyone can be held accountable to themselves, to the group, and to the professor for the work that they did for the group. So this finishes up the presentation. I thank you for listening, and I know that this group is going to do great addressing our issue and tackling any future assignments that are coming our way.